Did you look in the mirror one day after losing the person you love and think, who am I now? Not because you forgot your name, not because you forgot where you live, but because the person staring back at you doesn't feel like the same person anymore. That's what happened to me. When my husband, Vic, died, everyone thought I had lost my husband. And I did. But nobody realized that I had lost myself too. Before Vic died, I knew exactly who I was. I was confident, outgoing, but more than anything, I was a wife and a mom. And I took pride in that. My family was my entire world. I wasn't searching for purpose. I wasn't trying to figure out who I was. I already knew. I was Vic's wife. I was building a life with the man that I loved. We had dreams. We imagined growing old together, watching our children grow, watching our grandchildren grow, just doing life together, the ordinary things, the things you never realize are extraordinary until they're gone. Vic had just turned 51. I was 41. It was July 4th. We watched fireworks that night. I remember being extremely exhausted afterwards. I had been struggling to sleep because we had been in the hospital for 2 weeks straight. And I kept telling him that night that he should try to get some rest. There was nothing dramatic about the evening. No feeling that this would be our last holiday together. No warning that my life was about to be split into 2 parts. Before Vic and after Vic. Then suddenly, he was gone. In those early days, one question played over and over in my mind. How did this catch me off guard? Why didn't I know? Why didn't I see it coming? I replayed everything, every conversation, every moment, looking for answers that did not exist. But the hardest part wasn't just losing him. The hardest part was trying to figure out who I was supposed to be now and what I was supposed to do. My whole life was him. For years, my identity was wrapped up in loving him, caring for him, supporting him, and building a future with him. Then, overnight, all of that disappeared. The role that vanished first was caregiver. Vic had been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer 2.5 years prior. I was his caregiver 24/7 for 2.5 years after he was diagnosed. And what people don't talk about enough is about what happens when the role you've lived in for years suddenly no longer exists. Who you are when the person you've been caring for isn't there anymore. Who are you when the plans you've built your life around suddenly disappear? Who are you when the future you expected no longer exists? About 6 months after Vic died, I began to realize something. I wasn't just grieving my husband. I was grieving myself. I was grieving the woman I used to be. The woman who laughed easier. The woman who felt safe. The woman who knew exactly where she belonged. One of the clearest examples of this is fishing. Vic and I absolutely loved to fish together. We fished at least twice a week. It was our thing. It was part of our life together. And in the 10 years since he died, I have not gone fishing not one single time. Not once. People hear that and may think it's just because fishing makes me sad. But that's not it. It's because fishing belonged to a version of me that no longer existed after he died. That woman was Vic's wife. And when Vic died, a part of her too died too. The other thing that disappeared immediately was my sense of safety. Not physical safety, life safety. The feeling that someone else was standing beside me always. The feeling that I wasn't carrying everything alone. The feeling that if something happened, there was still an us. Suddenly, it was only me. I became the sole provider, the sole decision maker, the sole worrier, the sole planner. And even now, years later, I still miss not having to carry the entire weight of life by myself. People often think grief is missing a person, and it is. But grief is also missing who you were when they were here. It's missing the future you planned. It's missing the routines you shared. It's missing the version of yourself that existed inside that relationship. Nobody warned me about that part. Nobody told me that one day I would look in the mirror and wonder who I was. Nobody told me that rebuilding my life would require rebuilding my identity. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe you're wondering why you still feel lost. Maybe you're frustrated because everyone else expects you to be better by now. Maybe you've been trying to move forward while carrying a version of yourself that no longer exists. If that's you, I want you to hear this. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not failing grief. You are not weak. You are rebuilding. And rebuilding takes time. I will always miss Victor. I will always wish we had gotten to grow old together. I will always wish we had more fishing trips, more holidays, more ordinary days. But somewhere along the way, I realized something. My life didn't end when his did. The woman I used to be will never fully return. But that doesn't mean my story is over. It means I have to discover who I am now. And maybe that's the real work of grief. Not starting over, rebuilding forward. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. What is something grief stole from you that no one warned you about?